So now let's look at how we can break this cycle of events that we've just talked about in relation to the overactivity of the nervous system, the congestion that is caused, and the insufficient response of the adrenal gland to manage the histamine connection. We need to work on all of those levels really to have a proper treatment plan. So essentially, we want to reduce the stress. We call that alpha sympathetic activity. It's a part of the nervous system, essentially, that stress. So how can we do that? Now, there are some fantastic plants that are available to us that we can use. Now, the good thing about plant medicines, herbal medicines, is that one plant can have many actions. So if you choose your plants correctly, you can treat a few of those pathways with even a single plant. So lavender is key. Now, we use lavender as a tincture form. You can use it as a tea. The tincture is a liquid form, which is an alcoholic extraction. Or you can use essential oil of organic lavender in the right therapeutic doses internally when it's blended in a base. Now, that's highly effective as well. So lavender essential oil has the ability to relax the nervous system. It's a very key herb to reduce the alpha sympathetic tone that we talked about, so relax. It also has antiseptic, anti-infectious properties for the sinus area, and it also slightly reduces congestion in terms of reducing your parasympathetic tone. There is more information on the sympathetic and parasympathetic activity of the nervous system, which can be found in the article on the website, which is www.healthmatterslondon.co.uk, under the articles section under the histamine. So lavender has the ability to reduce that part and to relax the nervous system. And you've got some other fantastic plants to choose, things like lime flowers, you've got orange flower, you've got passion flower, you've got skullcap. And now these are all fantastic plants that can relax the nervous system and try to break that cycle. Now, the next thing, which is really, really key, is to improve the activity of the adrenal gland. Now, there are some very key plants. You've got licorice, which is a very strong anti-inflammatory plant. By working on that mechanism, it actually prolongs the life of the cortisol circulating in the body. So it makes the cortisol hang around longer and can help to improve adrenal function. It helps you cope with stress. It actually has a protective effect on the liver. So it has a whole range of therapeutic effects which are key in this kind of situation. Just remember that you won't be able to use it if you have high blood pressure. So that's licorice. Then you have blackcurrant bud. Blackcurrant bud extract in glycerin. We call it a glycerin macerate because they use glycerin as the base, and it's the buds of the blackcurrant, so it's very different to other parts. That has a very key effect to improve and help to restore the adrenal gland. Also, in high doses, it has a very key anti-inflammatory effect, which will benefit the inflammation in the respiratory system caused by the hay fever, the allergic response. Nutrient-wise, you've got vitamin B5. It's one of my favorite vitamins, and I use that a lot in my practice to help to restore adrenal function. It's the main nutrient needed for the adrenal glands, and you use a good high dose of that. Now, you do have some key herbs again for working on the adrenals in terms of adaptogens. Okay, so we talked about adaptogens in the immune video as well, because they have a whole range of benefits. Adaptogens are very, very special plants which help to regulate the systems in the body. So research shows that it helps to normalize cortisol levels. So for example, if you have a peak, if your cortisol goes up in terms of stress, or if you're training in the gym and you're training quite hard, that's a form of stress, the cortisol can go up. These adaptogens, these plants, they help to normalize the cortisol levels. They help to regulate the immune system. And it's very important, again, with allergies to work on the immune level, the level of the immune system. So they help to normalize the immune system, and they help you generally as tonics to cope with stress and become more resilient to stress. They actually gave these plants to people who are working very hard in stressful environments, in offices. they actually gave them in Russia to the astronauts and to the workers as well to help them cope with the stresses. A few of these plants are rhodiola, astragalus, also for its immune function. Then you've got things like ashwagandha or withania, that's a class of Indian ginseng. And then you've got the more energizing adaptogens, things like Siberian ginseng and your Panax ginseng, your Korean ginseng. Sandra, that's a key herb adaptogen for the respiratory system and also for improving the liver function, and it's a quite potent antioxidant. So depending on the patient, depending on the history, you will choose the plants that fit with that patient, and there are so many to choose from. Lastly, we probably need to talk a little bit about the parasympathetic division of the nervous system. Now, a lot of people know the parasympathetic system is rest and digest. So they think that the more parasympathetic activity you have, the better. But that's not true. You want to have a balance. You don't want your parasympathetic activity to be too high, because that is responsible for some negative outcomes in terms of producing too many secretions. So you have too much mucus being produced. You can be more spasmodic in nature. So there again, asthmatics have a high parasympathetic activity, and you want to regulate that as well as regulating the sympathetic nervous system, the alpha sympathetic, the stress that we talked about. The parasympathetic can be a reaction to the high stress, to the high sympathetic tone, and together you have the sympathetic, which is restricting, which is tightening. It's like squeezing a hose pipe. And you have the parasympathetic that produces the secretions. So if you have a high sympathetic and parasympathetic, then you have congestion. Just imagine a hose pipe when the water is running and you squeeze that, and then the fluid builds up behind it and it's not draining properly. That's a mechanism of congestion that can happen inside the body with these kind of problems in these scenarios. So plants that are key for reducing parasympathetic. Very, very strong on the list is thyme. Thyme is a herb that you cook with in the kitchen. Now that's very key. You can use thyme because also it has a very good, strong expectorant effect, so it helps to clear mucus from the body. It's antiseptic in nature, it's anti-allergic as well, and it also reduces your parasympathetic tone, and it's also antispasmodic, so it has a whole range of benefits. Then you've got another herb called gentian. Once it's consumed in the stomach, it will also help to reduce parasympathetic and improve digestion. Then you've got another herb as well, Artemisia dracunculus, that is tarragon. Tarragon is a very good herb as well for reducing your parasympathetic tone. And there are many, many more.